Hello, I'm Frank, and I'm ready to review the essential knowledge for the Ohio Motorcycle Endorsement Test. This test is required to add motorcycle privileges to an existing Ohio driver's license. It focuses on unique motorcycle safety concepts, handling skills, hazard awareness, and specific legal requirements for two-wheeled vehicles. Let's get started. How can a motorcyclist increase their visibility to other drivers? Wear bright or reflective clothing. Bright clothing and reflective gear significantly increase a rider's profile, making them easier for other drivers to spot in traffic and low light. Let's continue. What is the best way to handle a sudden swerve or obstacle in the road? Press the handlebar in the direction of the turn. This is called countersteering. Pushing the right grip steers the motorcycle right, and pushing the left grip steers it left, initiating a quick turn. Moving on. What is the suggested following distance for a motorcycle in normal conditions? At least a 2-second gap. A minimum 2-second cushion is recommended, and riders should increase this distance to 3 or more seconds in adverse conditions. Time for the next question. Where is a motorcycle's brake light least visible to a driver behind you? When stopped in traffic with other brake lights. In a cluster of cars, a single motorcycle brake light can be lost among the many brake lights of the vehicles around it. Next up, what is a common cause of motorcycle crashes at intersections? The car driver fails to see the motorcycle. This is the single greatest hazard for motorcyclists. Car drivers often look for cars and do not perceive the smaller profile of a motorcycle. Let's continue. What is the primary purpose of protective motorcycle gear? To reduce injury in a crash. Gear like helmets, jackets, pants, gloves, and boots are designed to absorb impact and prevent abrasions, road rash. Moving on. What is the best way to brake on a curve? Apply a small amount of both brakes until the motorcycle is straight. It's best to complete most braking before the curve. If you must brake mid-curve, use light, smooth pressure on both brakes to avoid skidding. Time for the next question. In a normal stop, how much of your braking power should come from the front brake? About 3/4. The front brake provides the majority, about 70 to 75% of the motorcycle's total stopping power due to weight transfer to the front wheel during braking. Next up, when carrying a passenger, where should they sit? As far forward as possible without crowding the driver. The passenger's weight should be centered close to the motorcycle's center of gravity to minimize the negative impact on handling. Let's continue. When carrying cargo on a motorcycle, what should you make sure of? The cargo is balanced, secured, and does not interfere with controls. Cargo must be securely fastened, low and centered, and must not prevent the rider from operating the controls or moving freely. Moving on. When is the safest time to cross a set of railroad tracks? Crossing at a 90-degree angle to the tracks. Approaching tracks at a right angle prevents your tires from getting caught in the grooves and minimizes the risk of slipping on the rails. Time for the next question. What is the proper procedure to ride over an obstacle like a small piece of wood? Slow down, rise slightly off the seat, and approach at a 90-degree angle. Standing up allows the bike to move beneath you, absorbing the impact, and a perpendicular approach reduces the chance of a skid. Next up, what should you do if your motorcycle starts to wobble or weave? Grip the handlebars firmly and close the throttle gradually. Do not brake or speed up. Maintain a firm grip and reduce speed slowly to allow the wobble to stop on its own. Let's continue. What is the best way to ride safely on an unpaved surface like gravel or dirt? Reduce speed and keep the motorcycle upright. Keep your speed low, avoid sudden movements, and try not to lean too much as traction is greatly reduced on loose surfaces. Moving on. When an animal runs into your path, what is usually the safest action? Slow down or stop if you can do so without losing control. If stopping is not possible, the safest action is often to stay on your course, brake hard, and avoid swerving into another lane of traffic. Time for the next question. In a slow, tight turn, what should you do to help keep the motorcycle stable? Maintain a steady throttle and use the clutch and friction zone. Slightly using the throttle helps stabilize the motorcycle at low speeds, using the friction zone to modulate speed without killing the engine. Next up, when stopping in a straight line, what should be done with the clutch? Pull the clutch in smoothly. The clutch should be pulled in just before the motorcycle comes to a complete stop to prevent the engine from stalling. Let's continue. Why should you check your mirrors frequently while riding? To be aware of traffic approaching from the rear and sides. Constant mirror checks are part of the search phase of the SIPDE process, helping you maintain a full picture of your space cushion. Moving on. What is one way to communicate your intentions to other drivers besides signals? Use your horn and bright headlight flash. A light tap of the horn or flashing the high beam can catch a driver's attention when you feel they haven't seen you. Time for the next question. What is the best way to negotiate a curve with an unknown radius? Slow before the curve, check for traffic, and maintain a constant speed. By slowing first, you allow yourself the flexibility to accelerate out of the curve as you see the end of it. Next up, to avoid being a target for aggressive drivers, you should maintain a safe space cushion around your motorcycle. A safe space cushion allows you to avoid unnecessary sudden maneuvers and prevents other vehicles from crowding you. Let's continue. What does the SIPDE process stand for in defensive driving? Search, identify, predict, decide, execute. This five-step process is a key defensive riding strategy for anticipating and responding to road hazards. Moving on. What is the risk of using only the rear brake in a turn? It may cause the rear wheel to skid. A rear wheel skid in a turn can lead to a loss of control and a high side fall. Most braking should be done before the turn. Time for the next question. When riding at night, what is a good practice to increase visibility? Use the high beam headlights when legal and safe. High beams should be used whenever there is no oncoming traffic or traffic in front of you to maximize your visibility of the road ahead. Next up, how should you change lanes on a multiple lane road? Check mirrors, turn on the signal, look over your shoulder, and move smoothly. The head check, looking over the shoulder, is critical to cover the motorcycle's blind spot before moving. Let's continue. What is a potential hazard when riding near parked cars? Doors opening or people stepping out. The dooring hazard requires riders to maintain a buffer zone or ride to the left side of the lane when passing parked vehicles. Moving on. What is the proper use of the foot pegs when not shifting or braking? Place the balls of your feet on the pegs. Placing the balls of your feet provides the best position for balance and allows you to quickly operate the controls when needed. Time for the next question. What is the danger of riding when you are fatigued? Your reaction time and ability to concentrate are reduced. Fatigue impairs your judgment and physical responses, significantly increasing the risk of a crash. Next up, when riding in a group, what should each rider be responsible for? His or her own safety and speed. Every rider must practice self-preservation and maintain their own safe speed and following distance, regardless of the group's pace. Let's continue. What is the recommended hand signal for a right turn on a motorcycle? Left arm extended straight out with the forearm and hand pointing up. This standard signal is used to indicate a right turn when turn signals are broken or difficult to see. Moving on. What is the only exception to the rule that you must wear a helmet and protective eyewear while riding with a temporary instruction permit tick? There is no exception. In Ohio, a driver operating a motorcycle with a TIPIC must wear a helmet and protective eyewear at all times. Time for the next question. What must you do if your motorcycle is equipped with a fluid level indicator or sight glass? Check the fluid level before riding. During the pre-ride check, you must verify that the level of fluids like oil and coolant is correct to prevent mechanical failure. Next up, if you are carrying a passenger, how will it affect the motorcycle's handling and stopping? It will increase stopping distance and affect balance. The added weight requires more time and distance to stop and raises the center of gravity, which changes the feel of the motorcycle's balance and handling. Let's continue. What should a rider do when encountering a strong crosswind? Lean into the wind and maintain a steady speed. Leaning allows you to counteract the force of the wind, and a steady speed helps maintain stability. Moving on. How do you check the chain or belt of your motorcycle during a pre-ride inspection? Check for proper tension and lubrication. The chain or belt should have the correct amount of slack, tension, and should be well lubricated to prevent wear and possible failure. Time for the next question. What should you be especially cautious of when riding on metal bridge gratings or expansion joints? They can cause the tires to lose traction. Metal surfaces are slick, and the ridges of gratings can cause an unnerving side-to-side wiggle. Reduce speed and avoid abrupt leaning. Next up, if you plan to pass a vehicle on a two-lane road, what should you always do first? Check your mirrors and blind spot with a head check. The head check is a mandatory final step to ensure no vehicle is rapidly approaching or already alongside you in your blind spot. Let's continue. If you are hit from behind, what is the best thing to do to minimize the crash? Open the throttle and try to outrun the impact. If you see a collision is unavoidable, accelerating can sometimes distance you from the hitting vehicle and reduce the severity of the impact. Moving on, what is target fixation and why is it dangerous? Looking intently at an object you want to avoid, which tends to steer you toward it. Riders tend to go where they look. Fixating on a hazard prevents you from using your vision to find a clear path and steer toward it. Time for the next question. What is the correct position for your feet when operating a motorcycle? Feet up on the foot pegs floorboards. Keeping your feet up and properly positioned ensures they are protected and ready to operate the controls. Next up, what is the danger of riding in a group in a tight formation? Little time to react to hazards or changes in speed. Tight side-by-side formations eliminate the space cushion, making it difficult for riders to maneuver or brake safely. Let's continue. What is a common way alcohol affects a motorcycle rider? It reduces coordination, judgment, and vision. Alcohol severely impairs the complex coordination and precise control required to safely operate a motorcycle. Moving on. If you must negotiate a turn with poor visibility, such as around a blind corner, what should you do? Slow down and assume there is a vehicle coming the opposite way. Slow speed provides more time to react to an oncoming vehicle or an obstacle that suddenly appears in your path. Time for the next question. What does it mean to cover the clutch and the brakes? Keep your fingers foot near the controls for quick reaction. This practice allows you to reduce your reaction time when an emergency arises, minimizing the time it takes to engage the controls. Next up, when are motorcycle turn signals often difficult to see? In bright sunlight or if the rider does not cancel them. Bright sun can wash out the light. Also, signals that are left on can be confusing to other drivers. Let's continue. What is an important step to take before you turn your motorcycle? Look where you want to go. Looking turns your head and allows your body and the bike to naturally align for the turn. This is the basis of effective steering. Moving on. When parking at the side of the road, which way should you point your front wheel? Toward the curb or edge of the roadway. Pointing the wheel toward the curb helps prevent the motorcycle from rolling forward if parked on an incline. Time for the next question. What is the risk of excessive speed when riding a motorcycle? It reduces your margin of error and increases stopping distance. High speed gives you less time to react to hazards and requires a much longer distance to come to a stop. Next up, what does the Ohio law require regarding eye protection when operating a motorcycle? Eye protection is required for all riders. Ohio law mandates that all operators and passengers must wear approved safety glasses, goggles, or a protective face shield. Let's continue. To ride safely, you must be able to separate what two actions when an emergency arises: braking and swerving. These are two distinct emergency maneuvers that should be performed separately. You should either brake hard in a straight line or swerve, but generally not both at the same time. Moving on. That wraps up our practice session for the Ohio Motorcycle Endorsement exam. Keep reviewing this material and you'll be ready for your test.